Yeah, I'm not just inside down.
Are you in?
Yeah, she feels
Okay. So let's make the start then. Here we are. This is the meeting of the Finance Committee on the 25th of November. The first page or second page of the agenda is actually the information taken as read. Not going through it, but we all know it by now. We'll move straight into the agenda. And I will ask the clerk for apologies for absence, please. Mike said he would be late. I don't know whether I'm supposed to convey that.
No, he has conveyed that.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any declarations of interest?
Not received here.
So no dispensation, either nobody's got any declarations of interest, or it's presented in there, really. And then you need to look at the minutes of the last meeting, please. I have a request. If you go to 273 bank reconciliations, you will see that we've still got a trouble formatting with Monja, because it's done 2731, 2732, 2733, 2734 for April to July, and then for some inexplicable reason has made August 2734 a new number. Can you check things like that before they come out to council? Because it's just silly. And I know it's the machine doing it, but there's no reason why it should have done that at all. But it does all sorts of weird things. And you see what I'm saying? And it'll probably be a space that's been missed or something stupid like that. But
No, it's the way the previous agenda was done. That's how it was taken that. So why all this was different from the previous agenda of it.
But surely that could have been corrected for this one to.
Not necessarily, because it would see with the previous agenda.
Because you see, it would raise questions if I was a member of the public,
Yeah.
I'm not as such. I would wonder why that was different.
Yeah.
And it would, whereas actually if it can be brought into line.
Yeah, we'll look like the previous agenda to see why August was in the
Very
middle
much.
for that.
Other than that, I have nothing particularly I wanted to debate. Anybody else have any problems? Or can I propose them as a correct record, please?
Can I just ask one question about the use of quality, the third time? Do we know if they've sent an invoice in yet or not? They did 4 months, I suppose, yes, they have to, they have what's
Really? Actually, while you're on that, we gave the Makery a grant, which was to do with the lanterns and bits and pieces. And there's no mention of the town council sponsorship in the second Christmas event that's coming off, which we need to look at to make sure it's in the policy, because I checked that it should be there, but I'm not sure that it's in the letter that goes out. Maybe we need to put it in there as well.
Yeah.
They should know, but I mean, I was just a bit missed because we put, how much did we put up?
was £559.
Yeah.
So obviously you've paid for or made a big contribution towards that second parade.
Because I'm sure they will say, well, you had lanterns at yours that were made by the Makery. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that was that's why I've highlighted it as well, because there's been a lot of publicity on social media since the event on Saturday. And I know that we've given a grant, but I've not seen anywhere any sort of reflection on the fact that actually the town council has provided a grant towards the lantern process.
As I say, it's in the policy.
Yeah, but I wanted to double check whether that grant was for the Christmas event or whether it was for the subsequent event. So what is that?
I think it was for making the lanterns and the workshops and things.
Yes, but we're already starting. So the council contacted the school to like making lanterns. So that's what it was about. Then the Makery asked for a grant, and then they've expanded it into something else. So it's rather
Just what's the improvement?
yes. So perhaps if there's a repeat next year, we hold our own in Dawlish, the Chamber of Commerce and Road in Bantam.
Well,
It's
as you
become,
I am reviewing the policy
Yeah.
and the forms and everything that goes with that, which is why they were readily to hand.
you should have been credited in all of that publicity.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Do we do anything about it, or does that just seem like sour grapes?
You do something about it if you get another application.
Yes.
Maybe.
And we'll have to wait to see what they say in their feedback.
Anybody else got any other?
Those are my couple of points. I just wanted to tell.
Okay, so I'll propose that as a correct record. Do I have a second, please? And seconds, all those in favour?
I was absent at the meeting.
So you can vote for the
Yeah.
actions. Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. So gender. So the next thing, we were going to have a look at fees and charges because you will remember that they remained more or less the same last year. There were no amendments to them, which was interesting because there'd been a lot of kerfuffle about why we were charging more than local traders and bits and pieces for things. So we need to get that right this year, but there's not been sufficient office capacity because it takes a lot of time to ring now and get the state of the market. And
We've already deferred it once.
yeah,
We should have been doing this in May.
yes, absolutely.
Now, we're looking forward to July and January.
You know, end of the day, it's noted, it's on the minutes, and we know we are in need of doing it, and it needs to be done carefully and appropriately. So we wait until we can actually fit it in. Nobody will be, what's the word, disadvantaged by it, because
So the opposite.
they're staying the same at the moment. They're almost certain to go up, unless there are anomalies, as I say, about other organisations charging less or letting people take things for free. But that's also one of our issues. I think it does, where we're looking at deposits to replace damage or loss.
So we took that off under us.
Right,
So we now, because we have something,
that's it.
the big guys on out, drugs and kind came back damaged and bits missing. So we're now sadly forced to check everything that comes back and charge a deposit even for broken kind and then refund it or not.
So that would still need to be noted there, wouldn't it? In the fees and charges.
No, it was always there. It's just that we're because people are having stuff as granted cards, there's no charge.
Mm.
So now all we've done is change the policy so that we have to sadly check every gazebo that comes.
Mm.
Because it's no good when it next goes out that you find a bit missing or there's a hole. So because you know, it went out to 2 events and we don't know under which event the missing items or the damage was caused. So, and it's a shame because it's a lot of labour. It's like,
So what fees and charges are going to?
Well, you could have referred back to last year's fees and charges. It's room higher, it's a sort of equipment.
every single item we charge, anything else.
On the same page.
Well, I believe they're published on the website as well, are they not?
It would be also focused rentals won't be published, you know, tenants rentals, car parking,
Yeah.
So
gazebos,
it's a review of the whole shoot.
anything we can charge.
Yeah. Because I think last year, did we not put up the room hire slightly?
Yeah, 50p.
And that's the only thing that went up.
No, we raised tenants, rents,
Rents.
but that will only come into effect as their lease or license.
Right.
Reaches its period.
So those are our options as such, yeah. So we hopefully get round to that after the budget's done and dusted, probably the end of January's meeting then, I would think.
Where we're aiming for.
Okay, that's fine. Auditors report. I hope you've read it. It's singularly a language that I now know well. But in terms of, this is our first interim audit this year. We get a second one in February, and then they do the year-end close down and the referral through for AGAR, don't they? Ian?
Yeah.
And then we get the big government audit, which is part of AGAR, 10-minute squint, allegedly, but they do actually check all our papers that we put forward. And I mean, I am thrilled to say, as ever, that despite the lobby that chooses to malign us for governance irregularities, it's quite clear from here, and there is a paragraph in here about governance, that our auditors have no worries whatsoever. The review of corporate governance on page 11. And I would probably like to issue a statement from this committee to that effect, and I don't know whether you think that sort of thing.
Well,
I think we should actually make it very clear that there are a lot of spurious allegations being bandied around on the social media, and refer people to reading.
I wouldn't worry about social media, because social media is what it is. When those items emanate from members of this council, I think that's a completely different matter. When they challenge our governance, I think it's unacceptable.
So how do we address that? A letter from the chair?
Well,
How would you feel about that?
it might potentially also fall into conduct matters, isn't it?
Well-
If you're bringing your council.
Oh, yes.
The most recent one was only 4 or 5 days ago.
So maybe we actually, what we need to be doing is actually taking a much more robust stance in relation to conduct of councillors in regard to how they present this council in public.
Until the public doesn't know as much as they do, at least.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing, isn't it?
Because
What we
it
can't do
has
is necessarily, we can't necessarily control the way the public responds to the information they are given, unless it borders on criminal activity, which has been doing recently, the last couple of weeks. But the issue is about whether or not we've been fairly, I like to think I've been fairly lenient in relation as chair in regards to how councillors are conducting themselves in the public life, when they're not supposed to be acting in this way. And actually maybe we now need to be saying, if there is anything that goes out spoken by any councillor, then we look at the code of conduct processes that we can do and we can follow. And we know that there's going to be significant changes with regard to that. But I think when it comes to the fact of anything that alludes to this, that our committee is not acting appropriately in its governance, its financial regularity, how it conducts itself as a town council, then we need to be a bit more robust. I agree with you on that. Chair, I think that it's you know, it's.
Can I consult with you about some words that we might send to those responsible?
Well, I think what we need to do is, I think the first stage, this is actually quite a good line in the sense we've now had this governance report. We actually had something at the October meeting as well. So we've had that one, we've now got this one. And I think we can just have I think the starting point would be a general reminder to all councillors that actually we are in good shape. You know, we are in a legal shape. Our governance is sound. So actually, from that point on, I would say, I think that means that then everybody will start in afresh with that. But it's wearing and it's wrong. It gives our community completely wrong, false, and it's just mischief making, as I often say.
You're the lawyer. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's defamatory because it implies that myself as chair, because this has been going on well over the last year, I've been hiding things and not giving people access to information. It's all freely available. There's nothing being hidden.
The reality is, we are a council set up of committees. So we're also a body of 12. So there is actually 12 of us that oversee all our committees. So we all have a responsibility, not just the chairs of the committees. We all have a responsibility to question if we're uncertain about something, or we want clarification, or if we're unsure, or indeed if we are worried about how things are being relayed publicly, which represents us as a body corporate. So I think, we have to remind ourselves ever so often that we have a duty about that. But I think the starting point for me is this is a really positive point. I mean, there's a couple of things I think about it, which I'll chat through in a minute, but I think that as a positive, we should be really saying to all our councillors, this is a really good starting point now. So actually, we will no longer tolerate any publication which alludes to the council. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the starting point. Then if anyone should make any fuss about that afterwards, then we will deal with it as I will deal with that as chair of the council and in conjunction with legal. Very clear about involving our legal if we have to do so.
This may already be in place, but it is a very positive report, and it also is very clear and concise. And it, as I say, this might be already in place, but will be sent out the next agenda. Will this be included? Will this be included in the agenda? It was. It was. What, the next agenda?
No, this one.
No.
Full council.
Full council.
Oh, sorry, yes, yes, sorry, okay.
I was just checking whether it would or wouldn't, I don't know, but I didn't want to offend people.
The minutes go up, yeah.
So,
So this will be public,
yeah,
and
but I think
You know,
we actually,
6 months of this at the beginning of the year, month after month after month, questioning our governance, and the chair explained then because there was similar information made. My greatest concern is the waste. So for 3 months at the beginning of this year, officers spent way too much time dealing with that, taking legal opinion, when we should have been concentrating on toilets, quite frankly. And it's not just the waste of officer time, it's then the things we don't do, we should be doing. If you don't stop that collectively as the body corporate, we're going to have a very difficult year.
well, I appreciate that, but one reminds me that if this is going out, it is a way of actually, if we're going to be drawing a line in the sand, it is a way of saying, this is our report for this year, or for this period of time. It's very positive, it's very clear, and this was their findings. And then if you do get any backlash insinuations, you could then say, you were given a copy of this report, can I refer to you to subsection data as a starting point?
it's going beyond that now, isn't it? In the sense that this will be a public document. It's on our agenda today. It will be discussed obviously on the agenda for the full council meeting. And furthermore, we are now broadcast, you will see.
Yeah.
So actually anybody, if you look back at this recording or maybe watching now, and I say that whether it's members of the public or indeed if it's councillors that should be in who can't be here today, they will hear this. So we will also avoid this, we will avoid any reason of anyone being able to say, well, I wasn't aware, or I didn't get an email, or I didn't get a message, because actually it's very public now, and we've made it clear that, we're no longer, I've certainly, we should no longer tolerate any implementation that actually there is something untoward with the way that the council runs. So hopefully that should be public enough, and it should make it really clear. And then going forward, if that problem continues to happen, then that's the time where I'm afraid I'll get legal in and we will deal with it through code of conduct. And I have no hesitation to do that, but hopefully we don't want that, because the whole purpose is, as a council, we should be working together to get the job done and get some really lovely positive things for our community. And also make sure that our officers' time is being used as purposefully as it needs to be. So I hope that's where we are.
Arguably, if people read this and inwardly digested, there will be no need to cast nasturtiums, as I believe the expression is, on any wrongdoings, mismanagement, governments, whatever you want to call it, and it should stop of its own. So much of this is because people don't always find the time to read minutes and read the things and query if there's an issue. I mean, everybody's available. I mean, I think on our terms of reference it says, if you have any problems, talk to the chair. Well, I'm not 100 miles away, and I have a telephone and I have email, and I do answer both of them.
Well, I agree. I think that, any questions about this document or the financial position generally should be through finance committee or yourself as chair. Or in as a clerk, because that way we can make sure it is the most up-to-date and accurate information. But it may be, I mean, the only thing that occurs to me with this report, I mean, it may be worth, we probably have members of our community. I mean, I've read it, I had to read it, I always read them a couple of times anyway, get it in, but actually just to maybe perhaps we could do sort of simplified sheet that covers, as it says, basically says, this is the headlines. So that way, you don't have to think, what does this all actually mean, particularly when it's sort of auditory language and reports, but actually have just a bullet point headline cover page that says headlines of this report of this ABCD, and then we can put that on the website as well with it, so that might make things easier for anyone who needs that.
I think well, perhaps an executive summary
Yeah, that's all it is.
Circulated generally
But but keeping it as straightforward as we possibly
in
can.
plain English.
Yeah.
I am a believer in that.
Yeah.
And go the other way if you want to. My only query on this one was we've been trying so hard to get away from paper copies of everything, and they are still wanting paper versions for audit purposes. And I understand all the reasons.
Okay.
But
So the one we're looking at, this is R2.
Yeah.
Is an online form, right?
Mhm.
And that requires certain actions by councillors to look at things, the website, etc., etc. So I'm talking to other councils that have means of doing that. There are different councils with different finance systems, so there are differences. But yes.
we can
And this audit, he will look at, most of it he has by email. So he'll, before he arrives, he'll pick, 50 invoices that he'll want random, so he can verify those. He verifies all the pay, against HMRC, national insurance, all of that. He will then ask me on the day for minutes of decisions on this, decisions on that, which I produce at the time. So it is absolutely a governance and finance audit. People think it's just finance, and not. This councils, they are governance as well. And a lot of the recommendations we've had previously were things around bank reconciliations weren't being checked by councillors. We've got all that in place now. We tried to time that so that it arrived with the removal of Barclays and the replacement by Unity Trust. We've done all that. And now you've got two items, and one of them is actually a down thing. There's a typo, so he's picked up everybody up on that.
Do you want to, what's the word, expand on that for a minute?
No, because that will go to full council in December, just to amend standing order, just that one technical amendment to make it tally up with the financial rating.
So now fiction goes wrong.
Indeed.
Yeah, you see nobody's.
Well, it's always difficult when you have the same thing in different documents, because if you don't have the same review dates, they can get out of filter, which really ideally you'd never have the same piece of information in two places, but places they're coming out. So
those were the only two things. One is the standing orders, and the other is this piece of paper that
he
would like to just have available. I mean, that's hardly a hanging offence in either case. One of them not even our fault, and I think it's a credit to you that you're doing that well, considering we swapped finance systems as well.
Credit to other members of staff, because we have had this transition, the lightest word I can think of, from one finance system to another. So it's always going to be a challenge, but on the day we produced everything he wanted. So
everybody happy with that? Do we have to vote to accept?
yes, please.
So can I propose that we accept with some glee a successful audit report with 2 action points, which are both in hand? Another seconder for that? Second. That's fine, seconding. Show of hands. That's everybody. Unanimous yet again. So now we're looking at budget outturn for quarter one and budget outturn for quarter two in sequential pages that come along. It all got a big discombobulated this because I was trying to print it differently for my printable now and then.
I've got budget action. I've got Q1, Q2 there.
Item 7 on item 8.
Yeah.
Page 17 to 21 in effect, 22 is blank. Is quarter one.
Is that not what they are?
Yeah. The other thing that is different with our Chinese finance system is they use more global accounting terms than RBS did. So this is the output. We can tweak this. You know, this is the first output of the finance system, but we can change it to add all of those things as required. So this is our first version because it gives the information I mean, the key really is your percentage spent, and you're looking for anomalies in and around there. We suggest.
Page 19, NNDR, what's that?
National non-domestic rates.
Thank you.
So it's got the standard thing in brackets for credit, was it not? And non-brackets for debit. That's the right hand column. And then the percentages are there. I was a bit confused as to why some of them weren't.
Some of the what?
Some of the percentage spends weren't there, but I think that's where they've either dropped out or they're no longer a budget item, they all coded. Because this is always the first nitty gritty bit of trying to work out now this, because we've never seen these before because this is the new system.
Like I say, if there's anything you want differently, you should be able to accommodate. This is what people use on a day-to-day basis. And actually, quarter one, because of our change of system, we never got, we should have got quarter one, so that's why we've got 2 quarters together. In fact, all the work for next year into the budget, obviously, we're using, not quarter 3 because we're not quite there yet.
I mean, I don't know whether it's of any use for anybody else. I find that last year really confusing. I always just stick a line through that to stop looking at it because it just confuses me. I know it's useful for reference as to what we had last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether anybody else finds that problem.
It's conventional, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at you. Really.
So I think it's necessary.
Right,
Because I think it's fine. The comparison.
God,
Yes.
it's just put a line through it. It's just not really fun.
And if there was a significant change between last year, you maybe want to ask why.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Just people that look at accounts, you're looking for things that stick out. Why is it different?
So that's pages 17 to 28 of the one to Elstone.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything they want to raise or stuff like that?
I did notice the Timothy balloon with it, Chair. Just want to know where,
Page.
that's what I'm trying to find it now. I've been trying to look for it, so, going through now.
Page 24.
Yeah. So, yes. Thank you.
What about it?
I was just wondering what was happening to that money now that it's not actually coming at the moment.
It got fired at the finance meeting to the grants committee.
Well,
Last meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. last meeting, was it?
Okay, yeah.
No, just so sorry, it was about
Well, should have been in the minutes. You read the minutes, Mike.
I think we had a hangover from last year's grants in the something last
That's
year, we
right,
get
yeah.
paid till this year.
Yeah.
And that was a,
Would you often give grants things connected to, you know, gardening and stuff?
Yeah,
It's a
and-
nice way of using that money to
Yeah.
continue doing what you're doing.
And the other thing I was going to ask on page 19 was the car park, 2,381.
They're on site,
Just say that.
they're on the edge of the lake.
do something 19.
Yeah,
So it's.
year to date, there's nothing, and obviously, the current budget is 210,000. Page 19.
If you're looking
Halfway
at it
down.
that way,
Yeah.
page numbers over here.
But for that, will be put in Australia Mark Reserve.
So that's new mark reserves.
Well, part of it will be. It's just the way this displays it,
Oh, okay.
because we don't currently have enough money to do the car park or planning to do the car park. You've been putting money into an earmark
So
reserve.
that's for the relaying of the.
Yeah.
The supplement, that's.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand.
EV spaces and disabled spaces and, changing as many spaces as we can to grass streets as opposed to tarmac and all those good environmental things.
And just one update, on the same page, there's two down, was the installations. I think that's installation by spelled it, I read it by, I'm not sorry, I dyslexia. £144,261, and the current was, 1,584, and we got current budget of 17,006. Is it seven? No, sorry, sorry, it's 1 million, is that 1 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 million.
So I think, again, so this is, Bitton House and annexes.
Right.
So that is any property on campus. So that's this building, Orangery, Bowling Club, old toilet blocks at the end. And then we have the park. So
Does that count down there?
No.
No,
no, that is separate.
that's separate. Right.
But that is again building the earmark reserve for the masses of work that need doing on this building. Should then make it, oh, it will be, but then it should then be able to pay for itself. Looking forward for future generations.
Okay, car rentals, weddings and stuff like that, yeah.
Well, tenants is the big, if we bring the basement back into use, then we should be able to get the income for the house somewhere in the 100,000 mark, which should then be able to look after it on a yearly basis. And it's worth noting you have an obligation to look after it, because you are the owners of a very two stylistic building, so you cannot let it fall into a state of disrepair.
And of course, because it's a grade 2 listed building, you're very limited on what you can replace with.
Especially as we have started to go to the grade 2.
Yes.
And the orange is grade 2.
But of course, if all the windows were replaced with.
Well, we have the two windows that basically we're having to replace because they're about to fall out. So it's not in a good, it should have been done about 10 years before I got it.
Yeah.
But we are where we are.
Was in with that, was actually the boiler as well.
Yeah, boiler,
all of that
lift.
stuff.
The disabled toilet is non-compliant. So all of those things, all the safety things, we had lots of issues with fire doors, emergency lighting, all that kind of thing. So it's everything to get the house to a commercial standard. So not national trust, because we could never afford that, but just to make it proper.
And outside decoration as well, is in.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and once we start that, that's for the take. There'll be some rendering underneath that. And windows and glazing, heat.
That's just a step back. I mean, dare I ask, but have we got a ballpark figure about how much we think the car park will cost to?
Last quote was in the region of £200,000. But it was gone up.
Also, it was just.
Yeah, that was look at all the tarmac area and paths.
And the paths as well, and that's not the middle car park, or is it just the top?
That's everything on the campus.
Okay.
So, and the two car parks will become conjoined.
Oh, right.
Once it hits the car into the house, into the park, it will become conjoined so that it's one car park.
Will it bring additional trouble with foundation for living?
Yes. Yes. There's a lot of work because it really fits in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Badly, historically, before any of us were here,
you can see the piecemeal.
Well, the Forest Hill one, I happened to meet the guy who did it in 14 rooms at the time, and there are no foundations, it's just laid on that. It's tarmac on that. But there we go.
So that gets programmed as and when. and-
Yeah, well, once we have enough in reserves to do it, then we'll bring quotes and say, can we do this next? Yeah, so as soon as the reserves reach a point where we can action some of it, then, and realistically, we need to get on with a lot of stuff next year. Because some of this stuff we would have wished to have done by now. Because the longer you do it, the worse it'll be when you get there. Yeah, so we'll see what this year's budget is.
Anything else on those, Steve?
No.
So can I propose that we accept
I'll second that.
orders 1 and 2 as set out? Yeah, so that's me first, I second, all those. Everybody, you will train it. And then we're going on to that line threats, which the system, which was a previous concern, as the clerk has said, is now set up, it's running, it works. We have a little team of councillors and the system allows you to email each other, whoever's agreeing in terms of being the first or second authoriser. If you
No, that's payments.
Sorry, beg your
Yeah,
pardon, yeah.
so one councillor comes in once a month to check reconciliations, which is working.
Yes,
And they're just here for your information, so they have been checked by an individual councillor.
sorry, that's what I was saying.
Alright. Sorry?
What happened in September?
Very much has been done. We had to sort out some reconciliations, looking back further,
Right,
because there were no discrepancies, so we know that's on that. We now accept them,
cool, that's brilliant. So we're getting the, which again, all praise to the staff for dealing with the transition, which, I mean, some of you probably don't know, but these are also very different to what we've been used to since the years up. That it's trying to way around sometimes. But, we're getting there. And this system is bedding in well, Ian.
Slowly.
Let's transition off.
Well, it could have had a better start. We had some robust discussions with Claudia IT, and we're better than we were in April.
Yeah, do we have to sign a piece of paper?
No, you can just note the bank reconciliations because they've already been checked.
So noted by the committee that these have been done.
Just not vote on that.
So I propose that we note that.
Although this is different, it is more conventional and it's different and therefore a change. But this is a more conventional system and easier to read.
Yeah, I think
Once you're used to it, yeah, once you're
Yeah,
used to
brilliant.
it, yeah.
Thank you for
It's
that.
probably easier to work with as well. Than
That was a short story, yeah. Sometimes you look at it and think, what that can be.
It does a lot more, therefore it's more confidence.
So I propose that we note these bank recs as having been
Yeah.
sorted out and carried out. Lily seconded, and all those in favour. Have you got a problem?
Oh, just put it, are we all sorry, bank payments and reports today? No. That's not common,
Just
sorry.
payments.
Just joking. Sorry.
So this is the bank reconciliations that are done monthly by different councils every month, not on this committee. And these are presented here as all being present and correct, which is what we're voting to note.
Yep.
As having been done and that having been correct. So I've proposed it, Lily seconded it, so all those in favour. Thank you very much. So we're going to this payments, which again are totally different.
Oh, again, it's much easier to read that.
Yes,
Much easier.
but almost doubly so, unfortunately, because now you have the payee in a column on their own, but then they turn up again in the description a lot of the time, so you dump it up, but hey, rather too much than too little.
Well, what we do have is a much bigger description here. What the old system is very short, and unless you half knew what it wasn't necessarily self-explanatory.
I mean, most of these are self-explanatory. I didn't see anything that was particularly untoward that I was confused with. I've got a couple. Go on.
It's just right. It's,
Page number,
right, page, or, well, go backwards. There's a few of them that are actually, it's actually linked with the council and choir, the youth council. Is that there, it's, I appreciate that it's what I understand it's got to be shown as a debit, but it's that snatch, is that not coming out of your mayor's project, the mayor's project?
Mayor's events, which page? is that?
So you're looking at table 49, £49.40.
50, page 50, 51,
Well, sponsor person. No.
yeah, page 49.
well, the coding will show that it is because it will be coded to the mayor's events.
The best one, yeah.
Okay. It's a professional.
Yes, at the bottom.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
at the
it's
bottom.
council reference, that's some professionals for the clients.
This is purely a list of payments, not the budget from which they have been paid.
Okay, that's fine. That's a couple I'm curious about. Right, okay, page 51, 27, 10 things. Painful, volunteer review health.
Might be the 27th of the 10th, page. Yeah, page 52 is 27th of the 10th.
Can't see one of that. But did you show some cinema?
Sorry, that meant.
Oh, you're talking about page 51, 17th of October.
Yes,
£45, Brendan Table Leg Voluntary and Health.
That was a replacement date because the table got broken.
right, okay.
Well, the following legs, but luckily these tables you get on parts. So you don't need a new table.
It's probably got volunteer review.
They were hired.
All right, so they have to pay us, do they? Okay, sorry, page 52, 27th of the 10th. Horse and jockey factory visit.
Yes. The horse and jockey is where me and Cliff stay when we visited factory. It's an adjacent pub. Just to give you a bit more detail, we paid for 3 people, which was our quantity surveyor as well. He conversely paid for all the transport. So it balanced out. It won't have to be better around this stuff, just so you know that's what happened.
We also have any surprises or
Page 51. The date will be the 17th of Boise. So just curious how that seems to have crept up quite a bit of recent months. From the last one, they were a bit lower than that. Now they've gone up again.
But that's
Because they
do different things at different times of year.
I know it's, well, they're doing replanting, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's all they're doing, is replanting.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't be any more replanting on just a change of parts.
But when?
Well, in the spring one, for instance, spring was less than that one. But should be more. In my horticulture background.
Well, we have a contract with them for 12 months, and they charge us different bits at different times depending on their activities. See, it's some of this water.
So was this actually for the autumn then? This one was up in the summer. It says the 17th of the 10th, 25. I presume that's.
Well, it's obviously got to be pre that. Without actually specifically looking at the invoice, I can't give you any more.
No, the only reason why I saw them there 2 weeks ago, they were in there, so that makes them in November time, so I presume this has got to be.
paid in advance.
No, what I was trying to say, this was in the summer. You've got to decide.
well, it says winter, spring.
That's what I'm on about. They used to order there 2 weeks ago. It's in the 17th.
Without physically looking at the invoice, I can't give you a definitive answer if I'm actually wrong.
Right, okay.
If you have queries, by all means, get them to me before the meeting, and we'll have an answer at the meeting.
Anything else?
No, I'm fine with that. No changes, anything.
So again, we want to approve the list of payments.
I'll approve it.
You can do it today.
You can second it.
I'll second.
So that's September and October as laid out. I will propose those as being noted, presumably, or approved. Accepted, right, okay. And so, Brandon, Mike, do you have a,
I've got mine back.
Well,
Whoever wants to do it.
Mike proposed and seconded.
no, Joan, my hostess.
I heard you say.
I know. As Joan said, I could second it. So she said.
There you go.
I think that's what you said. Did you?
Got the answers, haven't you?
About
all those in favour? So moving swiftly into grants territory. So we've got two to look at. The first one, I'm very puzzled by, because it's a contractor that intends to work with Hazeldown, applying to us for a grant.
Oh, but it sounds good, but it's a bit odd.
And I would have thought that it should be Hazeldown applying for a grant, which I don't think they can do anyway. Because it's got out of their own budget.
that's where we're on with grants.
Oh,
Expenditure, that's hard.
The same.
Oh,
you know what she took us?
Really. Yeah, so just a list.
What did we do last year? When they applied to.
Last year.
It's gone.
we did do this.
X25, last year, the one thing you put in, and they are on that one.
Do you know if we approved it?
Yes, because they're on the list.
Fine.
It's on page 2.
But you don't know what the detail was.
No, I did.
They got a draft, but you don't know what they were doing at that time. For that, looking back.
Similar thing in a different school.
Yeah. Are you in online, Kate?
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you want something?
Well, I was going to say, can somebody just go back to, it was March last year when the grant was awarded to, or whatever. I'm just intrigued to know why we did it last year.
Do you want me to look at the minutes?
Would you mind?
No, I'm really sure I can find it, but I'm sure I can do it.
It's got to be that.
Well, it says March, 8th of March, so.
Yeah, but it would have.
You've been in February,
We've got my education, I've got this, the Wessex, the 8th of the 24, yeah.
Yeah, 8th of March.
Yeah.
It hasn't, I vaguely remember it going through, but I can't. It was similar, really.
I haven't got one for March, so it was
What have you got in terms of
2024, right? I've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
16th of April, 24th of June.
I've got 12th of March, 2024.
Oh, you've got it, oh, well done. Sorry.
Well, it might be the one before, because
I'll just have a look at it and I can check.
if it's the 8th of March, if it's paid, it would imply it's
It'll be
February.
February. Or will it? Because that's probably last year, it probably might have even been, because it was passed on to full council.
So like in January,
It couldn't possibly even be in January.
If it's going to take time, I'm sorry, I
No, you're fine. Fine.
should have looked at it myself first.
All right.
Because as I say, I've got a query in my head that this all seems very strange. So,
I didn't realise it was done before. I thought I'll find it on the January minute. So I
It's going to be meeting after.
You think it's April?
I think just the next meeting was March.
What
Sorry,
finance? What?
April.
it should be finance if it's a grant.
Finance.
Well, soon see, because it's minute 128, so it is.
Oh, now it's showing off.
Whistle the sheet. I'm not showing off.
Oh, no.
Life-
It's your message.
They were given the full grant, £310.
Sorry, which means-
Yeah,
It was April
16th of April.
Yeah.
providing health, wellbeing, drug prevention, 16.
Oh, yeah, so I think it's because the schools only contribute 70% and they raise this shortfall, and they have said that in this one as well.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what we're covering, isn't it? Which isn't an unreasonable ask from charity.
Oh, I mean, we've done it before. I suspect we've had a precedent set that the votes next to look at it.
Actually, was Jackson and Jackman
What?
proposed and seconded.
Next time.
Well, that's why this is so useful,
Yeah.
which is why I asked for it to be available,
Yeah,
because
so-
I'm not always convinced people complete the form correctly and understand the difference between have you had any grants before, who else is giving you, who else have you applied to? Because there seem to be some very odd answers sometimes. So again, this is part of the review to look at the form to try and make it absolutely crystal clear the information we are trying to extract,
Yeah.
to
But
make
to
it.
be fair, they have said they received return from us, and I didn't block that as going back, yeah, for minutes. Yeah, I have done.
They talk at length about dealing with charity and.
Yeah,
and
it sounds like it'd be really useful stuff for young people. I mean, I've been
There's
involved.
links to core, aren't they?
Personally, I don't see a problem in it.
Nor do I. It was just think about the benefit to, people.
Yeah.
So, quorum, let's have a look at this and sort of just weekly quorum. Life education is the leading charity provider of relationships, health, wellbeing and drugs education to children across the whole of the UK. They have quorum life education and staff officers, which gives a whole school approach to wellbeing and mental health, supporting over 50,000 teachers and reaching over 600,000 pupils every year. SCARF is a comprehensive, fully resourced, progressive PSHE scheme of work for 3 to 11-year-olds, educator-led workshops for pupils, hosting free and low-cost staff training through the supporting schools with whole-being approaches. So, and SCARF is safety, caring, achievement, resilience and friendship, which is the sort of, that's this, what is being set out in the application.
Yeah.
Again, I think we may need to slightly amend our policy to encompass something like this, because it's not straightforward. Perhaps we can look at that at a later date, but
So we've got,
I think you're all right on policy, because it's not the school asking for them,
yeah,
right, okay.
which you would have difficulty with powers, because
Yeah.
they are, could be construed as double taxation.
Yeah.
But because they're a third party, I don't think we've got a problem.
Yeah.
Everybody happy then? Would we actually
Yeah.
give them £310? We have the money.
yeah, no,
So shall I propose that?
Loss.
So it's proposed by Lee, seconded by Mike, and all those in favour? Unanimous, which is brilliant. And then I think this is the last one. Timothy Rugby Club.
Well, after this.
Oh, absolutely.
No, rugby.
They've actually approached lots of people. I've given them some money, as they say, they're from my community fund, that's not nearly everybody else.
Got 60 girls ready to sign up.
But I mean, I think it's actually something that is very worthy of support to ride the wave of the success of the national team.
Yeah.
And any exercise for young women and fitness and everything that goes with that is to be encouraged, absolutely.
the only thing that, I would say, and it sort of tacks on to what we talked about earlier in this meeting, about when we're giving grants and we're getting no positive feedback. in relation is that we gave the Tingley Rugby Club a grant of £2,000 not that long ago in relation to the changing rooms. Now, in early October, and first of all, I say that's a great grant to give for a really good purpose. But back early in October, there was a big article with the Rugby Club where they had the 2 England roses, and then they did a big opening of the changing rooms down there. So you can find the paper, thing. And in the whole narrative, there is nothing about the grant. There is no thanks to Tingley Town Council for their contributions towards it. We weren't invited to the that initial opening in any shape or form. And it's so I say that only because it's about reaffirming, as a council, it would be nice if the recipients of these grants actually just put on one line that, it's been made possible or it's we contribute to it. So I think
in the beginning of this whole process, we are lax in our pursuance of the feedback.
Yeah, we are.
And we've had a form that's been lurching around for some while, but I'm not sure if anybody ever gets sent it. I don't think we've ever cleared it to send it out. It's again pressure of work.
But again, it's before you want credit for it. Not feedback saying thank you very much. You want
so
the recipient to say thank you to the town council.
It needs to say on the letter. I thought it did, but it probably doesn't.
We should ask them how they have credited us.
Well, when we award the grant, we need to reiterate the bit in the policy that says you need to attribute your.
In the feedback form, they need to tell us how they have credited us or given us.
Yes, so that lot just needs to tie in.
And it's important because we pay a lot of money every year to support local groups of all ages, of all disciplines, and which we are actively wanting to do as a body corporate. And I think it's important so that people outside of the council actually see these are things we are doing behind the scenes. And we're not publicising that, but it's nice for people to see, a Facebook posting, something, whatever it might be that says we've done this, and we had some money from the council because our councillors are supporting grassroots of our community. It's not always about the big flashy things in people see, is it? It's not always about the big projects. Sometimes the most crucial projects are actually what's going on under our nose on the ground that really do affect people daily. And that's where things like the grants and the monies, I think, are really important. But it's just nice. We had this lovely letter in today, as you saw, a really good thanks, which is lovely. And it makes us as councillors to feel good that even when you've some kind of hardship with everything, actually, just that one thank you can be just enlightening. And you go, that's why I do this job.
And it could be fed back through the council reports.
When you
draw attention to the fact that this is the feedback. It's something that we've been trying to get sorted out for a long time.
But for me, it's about the community. It's actually the residents of the community seeing actually this is being done by us as a group of councillors. We are supporting our charities, our groups, our organisations. We're not necessarily all flash about it, but it's being done. Anyway,
So in the case of this second one, Tingley Rugby, we expect that there will be some credit to us, and that we'll have some previous credit for the changes. But the one we just agreed, Hazelden's all been doing with certain credit.
Well, they would, in terms of they will probably do some publicity in it, or they could be encouraged to do some publicity in it. They could invite us to join them, or a representative to come and see the fruits of the grant. Maybe invite the mayor and we dispense the wealth, and you're absolutely right. We do not get even as much as a thank you sometimes, and that you don't do it for the thank you, but you do it to support and encourage the growth and continuance of the organisations. I mean, there's 20 odd nearly there, and that's a lot of organisations in this year alone that have received some support from us. And that,
Yeah, and I think it also, not that I necessarily, yeah, my following words will probably open the floodgates, so I'm not necessarily advocating that, but what you get then is when you can see credit being given and you see some really positive publicity, there may be other smaller groups who go, oh, actually, oh, but there is a grant scheme through my local council that I could approach. And we might then be able to encourage really smaller, the less well-known, that are struggling to be able to come in and speak to us, or to sort of, like, for a small grant that might make a real difference for their for their role and their purpose. And it's about that. It's being about open. We talk a lot, don't we? And we hear it all the time about openness and transparency. Well, actually, let's make our grants policy more open, so that actually we get everyone benefits. We benefit as a council because, and there are things we'll probably have to say no to. We don't have a never-ending bank. We haven't got a big tree in the garden as such. But the reality is, to include the application being made.
The other thing, of course, is that grants are getting fewer and far in between. We did get permission from Devon to circulate Devon funding news. I just sent in the most recent one that's come through to inquiries, which we can put on the website, because very often I've been sending that to people to say, oh, you might be interested in this. And it's things like, somebody, and that's again, it goes forward into the distribution list that we've got in the background, that if something comes through for sports, you can immediately send it to the sports organisations and say, you may benefit from this. No names, no collateral. It's just, if you want to look into this, you may be able to get some money. And certainly the football club will always come back and say, oh, it's really great, thank you ever so much. We'll have a go at that. Because there's lots of things for kit or for accessibility to sports equipment, things like that, that is beyond the scope of what we can do. Absolutely. But we can pass the information on, because as you know, information sharing is my big area, that, it's not a thing to control. You actually make it as open as you can. And I'm sure, as you say, if people are aware that it's not a terrible burden, but where you have a problem is people who are doing their best as a voluntary group and they perhaps don't have the right paperwork, and it's very, very hard for a lot of people who are volunteers who just don't understand the need to do it, or how to put it all together. So, maybe we can look at ways of helping that somewhere along the line as well.
What's the other thing about to actually mention that, if my memory serves me correctly, Folk Festival was not your input. That very much so. I think, that's credit. The piece of what you just said about the sports bits. Now, I don't think, I'm not saying we should be doing that. To go that brings sports club. If you're aware of another, if the things we've already given them £2,000 this year, pavilion. Should we be
Last year.
Oh, last year, right, okay, fair enough.
Well, it makes it clear in the policy that you can't expect money every year, but it doesn't stop you applying for it.
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't. What I'm trying to say is, if we are saying to other people, actually, other organisations, actually, there is this money that you can get sports kit from. Shouldn't we be direction? Then I'm just posing that question. What people like, so let's give them. It's not a great deal of money. Go for it. Then again, if there's something else that they could get it, or tell them, or give them some, and give them usually additional equipment, then try this. There's another there's another organisation that's available, which is posing it as an option.
Well, signposting is useful anyway, isn't it? I mean, it's really important.
It has to be not staffing tips, because we can't act as a signposting organisation, because that's not built into the staff makeup. I mean, it's easy enough to just post things up and pass the information on, not get involved in sorting people's paperwork out to apply for grant and things like that.
No. I was just thinking, it should say supposedly could go for this grant. And I'm not saying we shouldn't, but could we also make them aware of the fact that there are another organisation should they need to get in the future? Is that acceptable?
I don't see it's a problem, but you know, I mean, it's up to them to look for the grants really and be aware.
I think,
That's all.
so I was just wondering, Brandon, who would do that?
Because I mean, I'm sending this out. James just said football club can put a stroke contact for our football kit. She got
No, they didn't.
I
I got Devon Funding News come through, which had an organisation that were offering money for football kit.
right.
So I emailed the contacts that I had up there and said, this has come through Devon Funding News. You may be able to, it was specifically for football, which I should send it anywhere else.
Right, sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
So where I can target things easily, I will pass it on. But I mean, it's literally sent to the specific organisation it's
applies
to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes things come through for places like volunteering in Alice Cross, because they do all sorts of generic stuff that will work, and I punt it through, and even the pavilions. And people are usually, oh, thanks for that. I did already know, but rather twice than not at all. So,
I mean, these are, at the end of the day, and they've already, you know, they require just over £1,000 from 4 or 5 other councillors, so as well. So I think, you know,
It was £650.
yeah, they want 500, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
600.
500 quid they're asking us for.
Yeah, I'd be happy to see for it. I think it's a good project, and you know, especially if we get to that gentle reminder to progress on the next game.
Well, and they do say it's an investment, because
Yeah.
it isn't something that's going to wear out this year.
No, it's not running costs, is it?
And I think that actually, if you think about us as a council, some of our work we have done, certainly in relation to trying to get funding from other sources as well, it's been in relation to sort of safety and well-being of women and girls. This fits into actually what our ethos in relation to trying to progress activities somewhere. And this is actually somewhere where young girls can go, you know, and develop, build confidence and social networks, all sorts.
Yeah.
So, if you want to
I'll
propose,
suppose.
Peggy proposed that
I'm happy to second that.
Lily second, all those in favour, the full amount.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that, I believe, is history now. We've got the date of the next meeting, which is our normally scheduled meeting, 27th of January.
So what date is that?
27th, it's on the agenda.
Could I ask a question before we start? Also, do you get any update on what Citizens Advice Bureau